in your Blackboard classroom, in your list of course documents, if you scroll down, you're going to see that I have a research paper packet. I've asked you last week to read the research notes PowerPoint, and you've read through that, and I'd like for you to open up the packet. You can print out a copy of the packet if you'd like, whatever, but I want to kind of briefly talk through pages 1 through 3 and page 6 of the packet to point out some specific things that I'd like for you to know. The research paper topics that are listed for you up here at the top of the packet, you'll see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different items to choose from. All of these items are already argumentative topics, because what we're going to do is we're going to have a paper that's going to present one side of an argument, the side of an argument that you're most interested in pursuing, the side that you actually believe to be true. Each one of the things that are listed here as a question, you will decide which side of the argument you're going to be on, and you're going to find sources to help support that information. You'll find sources that will say what it is that you believe to be true about this particular side of the argument. For instance, is the Social Security benefit a cause of America's debt? That's either a yes or no question. You either believe that it is or you believe that it isn't. If you think that the reason why America is in debt is because of the Social Security benefit, then you would find at least a minimum of 10 sources that say, yes, the Social Security benefit has been a major cause of the problems with America's debt. You'll go to the databases, you'll search, you'll find an article that actually supports what it is that you're saying. You'll be able to produce the bibliography information for that article, the citation information for the Works Cited page using chapter 17 from the textbook and using the little cheat sheet that I'll show you in a minute. And you'll use that as one of the sources for your research paper, because you want sources that support what it is that you actually believe to be true about that topic. If you scroll down through here, I've given you a list of the databases, and we'll have a separate video that'll show you specifically how to access and use these databases. These databases are going to be the primary source material for your research paper. I would recommend you getting everything that you can from these databases, because the databases already have stuff that is considered to be legitimate source information. You do not have to question what's in the databases at all. If it's here in one of these databases, it can be used in your research paper. I've given you a list of user IDs and passwords for accessing the databases off campus. You'll find that whenever you go through the JCJC website, you're going to have to enter in a user ID and password to access some of the databases. A note here says that you may have no more than 4 articles from the World Wide Web, things that come from Google, Bing, or Yahoo, and I'm going to limit that even more, and I want you to pay close attention to this, that if you do go to Google and you search for something, I want you to avoid using .com websites. .com websites are generally commercial websites that have advertisements, have things that are not always considered to be legitimate source material. So I want us to avoid the .com sites and stick strictly to using the things that end in edu, org, gov, or net, so that we know that these things are legitimate source information that can be used in the paper. You don't have to question this. Stay away from the .com stuff. Once again, if it's in any of the databases, it's fine. But if you do a search online, if you use Google or use a search engine, be sure that the sources that you're using come from these websites. Avoid .com sites. And I told you here, avoid Wikipedia, Encarta, and About. Those are not considered to be acceptable. I throw these in here specifically because Wikipedia is actually a .org site. But Wikipedia is one of those sites where the information that, as long as you're a member of Wikipedia, you can update information, and some of that information may not be correct. So I do want you to avoid using that. All right, page 2. This goes through and shows you how to set up the number header in the research paper using Word 2007. I have a template for you in Blackboard that already has the headers included, and as long as you use my template, you shouldn't have to use any of this, but I kind of use this as a backup just in case somebody can't figure the template out. This shows you how to insert the number headers. Words to avoid. This is a little composite list here. Avoid using the word get. Instead, use obtain, retrieve. Avoid using put, use place, etc. I would also add to this list, try to avoid using it or there at the beginning of a sentence. Those types of things are considered to be ambiguous. It's not a good sentence beginning. Always begin your sentences with a strong subject and a strong verb, and as long as you're doing that, you won't need to use it or there, and it won't weaken the effect of what it is that you're writing in the paper. Transitional words or phrases, we'll use these throughout the paper. I've given you a good composite list of these. They're in the textbook also. You can just kind of search in the grammar section and see what these words are, and they actually explain to you when these words can be used, like when you would use however, when you would use moreover, etc. I say here use a transition word in a topic sentence to begin each paragraph in the body of the paper that starts a new Roman numeral. You want to be able to move from one idea to the next by transitioning. This is a good list of transitional words or phrases for you to use. Italicize the transitional words or phrase each time that you use them in the body of the paper. Here's a list of lead-ins that you can use in the paper. I've shown you the example from the textbook, or you've read the example from the textbook that shows you how to start the sentences with an author's name and then have the information at the end. I've given you a list of all types of information regarding lead-ins, so that you won't have to use the verbs says or states over and over again. This author says, this author states. And I actually put up here avoid using says or states because I've given you enough information that you shouldn't have to worry about using says or states at all. It says all sentences must be cited in the summaries that you use. Even when a sentence is written in your own words, it still has to be cited. You want those sentences, that information, to be cited so that you know that I know it's come from a source, it's come from somewhere. Our papers will have at least one long direct quote, 3 short direct quotes in your paper. They'll be bold-faced, no more, no less. A long quote is more than 4 regular typed lines, and I showed you in Chapter 17 the block quote, how to set that up. All your direct quotes must have a lead-in, and you have a list of all the verbs up there. The body of your paper must end somewhere on page 7. So our paper is going to be total, introduction through conclusion, on 7 pages. That does not count the title page, the outline page, or the works cited page. Those are additional things that you will do as you progress through the process of writing your paper. The entire paper must be typed in Times New Roman 12-point font, and I actually have, as I said, a template that will show you or that's set up to use 12-point font, so you shouldn't have to worry about making that mistake and typing in a different font. Here's deductions that'll be taken off if your sentences are not cited. 15 sentences in summary are not cited correctly, citations not at the top is incorrect, etc. You use says or states. You can read through these deductions. This is just where you'll earn your points and ways to avoid losing any points on this. Now I would like for us to skip, that's pages 1 through 3. I don't want to talk about the summaries right now. I want to look at page 6, and it tells you here that you are allowed to use a long quote in your paper, but whenever you write your summaries, I do not want you to use long quotes. And we'll talk about that as we progress through these summaries. Don't worry about that too much right now because you can get a long quote later on if you need it. This right here, I told you that in Chapter 17 where it talks about setting up a works cited page, on the works cited page where you go through and you list where the source information came from, there's a whole section in Chapter 17 that's kind of a way for you to pull whatever source you have. You can flip and look and see, how do I cite that? I've kind of got a little cheat sheet here for you. I call it the citation cheat sheet, that shows you how to cite something from EBSCO or Magnolia, that shows you how to cite something from CQ Researcher. It gives you examples of things that are cited from those sources. Issues and controversy, SIRS, anything that comes from the World Wide Web. I go through and kind of show you specifically how to cite from those. So this is kind of an addendum, I guess you would say, to Chapter 17, a supplement, so that you can sort of see some good examples of the way that bibliography information is set up whenever it comes time for us to do our summaries. I know when you look through the packet that it has a copy of the summaries, And I know when you scroll forward into the packet here, it has an example research paper. And I'm going to talk about those things at a later date in a different video. Right now, I want us to focus on pages 1 through 3 and page 6 in the research packet.